Welcome back to the Christian J Show, The Crime Chronicles, where we deep dive into the darkest corners of true crime history, not just to recount the horror, but to understand the humanity lost in its wake. I'm your host, Christian J, and today's episode is not for the faint of the heart. We're exploring the twisted legacy of one of America's most infamous serial killers, a man who wore a clown suit by day and buried his secrets by night. This is the story of John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was born in 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. To neighbors, he was a friendly contractor, a community volunteer, an everyday man, a man who dressed up as Pogo the Clown to entertain children at parties. But behind the grease paint was a predator. Gacy's early life was marked by abuse from his alcoholic father, and by the time he reached adulthood, he had already served time for sexual assaulting a teenage boy in Iowa. After his release, Gacy returned to Chicago, remarried, and built a successful construction business. He threw block parties, joined local politics, and gained the trust of his community, all while committing unspeakable acts in secret. You know, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like every serial killer has the exact same origin story. I was abused by my parents when I was this age. That's why I killed. I was abused by my parents when I was such and such age. This is why I sexually assault people. I feel like they have every serial killer has the same origin story. And when I mean serial killer, I mean people who kill multiple people. So I'm not talking about the Menendez brothers because they were actually abused by their father, both of them, by their parents. So we're not going to be like, oh, well, wasn't you going on saying something about Menendez brothers? Wasn't you saying that they deserve justice? They do. I never once said that they don't. So, okay. So like I said, every serial killer has the same origin story. Okay? Now, he was Pogo the Clown at children's parties. How many of those children did he have pictures of? Because he sexually abused a teenage boy in Iowa. He was locked up for that. He served time for that. So if he was Pogo the Clown at these children's parties, how many of these children's pictures did he have in his home? That's my question. I wonder how many pictures he had of those kids. Because there's no way a predator like that is not going to have pictures of kids. We've seen it. These predators are disgusting. And if you get a rise or flutters just by looking at a child, you need to be thrown under the jailhouse. Matter of fact, you need to be castrated. I mean, executed, hanged, hung. You need to be. That's what you need to be. If you get a rise or get flutters just by looking at a child, You need your ass whooped. You really do. You need your ass whooped if you get a rise out just by looking at a child. Nasty. Now, joint local politics, child, child. But even the most carefully constructed facade begins to crack. And in Gacy's case, it was a single missing boy that will unravel everything. Your world is unraveling, John. hmm It all began unraveling on December 11th, 1978, when 15-year-old Robert Price vanished after telling his mother he was going to meet a contractor about a job. And guess who that contractor was? Pogo the Clown. Police quickly grew suspicious. Can't blame them. A search of Gacy's home revealed a class ring belonging to another missing boy and a photo receipt from the pharmacy where Price worked. A second search warrant authorized entry into Gacy's crawl space. What they found will haunt investigators forever. The decomposing remains of 26 young men buried beneath the house. 3 more were found elsewhere on the property. That man later confessed to dumping 4 additional bodies in the Des Plaines River. That's 33 bodies in total. 26 found beneath the home. 3 more were found elsewhere on the property. 4 were in the river. I feel like he thought he was kind of going to get away with everything. I do feel like he was going to get away with everything. But as you can see, some people, you're not going to get away with anything. Okay? Now, I do like how the police were quick to be suspicious. Because mind you, this is already a sexual predator. Then a 15-year-old boy goes missing after he told his mom he was going to see the contractor about a job, and that job was Gacy. That contract was Gacy. Police had a right to be suspicious because, yeah. With the truth unearthed, literally, the case moved from horror to justice. But how do you prosecute a man who committed crimes so monstrous that they deny belief? In 1980, Gacy was charged with 33 counts of murder, the most by a single individual in U.S. legal history at the time. His defense, the same plea that all serial killers use, the insanity plea. But prosecutors argued that the calculated nature of his crimes, luring victims using handcuffs as part of a quote unquote magic trick, and digging graves in advance, showed clear premeditation. The jury agreed. Gacy was found guilty and sentenced to death, as he should. As he should. And on May 10th of 1994, he was executed by lethal injection. The insanity plea? Really? Really, John? That's what we doing now? We going to the insanity plea? Seriously, it's like all these serial killers have a handbook. We're going to be abused by our parents. We're going to plead insanity. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's like they're handing out pamphlets or giving a handbook, because at this point you can't make this up. How? Why would you even plead insanity when you knew what you was doing? You knew what you was doing. And you want to talk about I plead insanity. There's no insanity here. There can't be no insanity. Child, I'm cold. There can't be no insanity because you knew what you was doing. You were calculated in everything, down from the graves to luring the victims to using handcuffs. You knew what you were doing, and you want to talk about, oh, I was going insane. You you would have to be a fool to actually believe someone like that and say, well, maybe they were kind of insane. Maybe they didn't know what they were doing. You would have to be a fool to believe a person like that. But even after the trial, the question remains, how did a man like that go unnoticed for so long? And what does his story say about the systems meant to protect us? John Wayne Gacy's story is a chilling reminder of how evil can hide in plain sight. He wasn't a shadowy figure lurking in the alleyways. He was a neighbor, a clown, hmm a man who shook hands with politicians. Sketchy. Behind every mask was a victim. 33 lives stolen, families shattered. Let's always say this, you can't, sometimes you can't even trust people. People that you think, oh, I can trust them, or they're my friend. Sometimes you can't even trust that person because that person can be a monster lurking behind every wisteria. The fact that he was like the friendly neighbor through the block parties, did this, did that, and then you go murder children, teens. No doubt he sexual assaulted them. No doubt he did that. But you decided to murder and sexual assault children, children and teens. For what reason? That's for what reason? Like what goes through your head? I don't understand. But my heart can only go out to the parents of the victims because here they go thinking that, oh, well, maybe my child ran away, but then they're like, well, maybe my child wouldn't run away like that, or they probably went through their rooms, be like, well, maybe I could find a clue to see if they went somewhere different, or maybe they got kidnapped. Maybe parents were probably waiting for a ransom note because they probably thought their child got kidnapped. And they're probably saying, well, you know, if my child got kidnapped, then a ransom note is coming. Then they get a call from the police. We need you to come identify a body. It matches the description you gave of your son. Then they got to walk. They got to go to the police station or to the morgue and identify their child. And then come to find out their child was murdered and sexually assaulted by their neighbor, their friendly Pogo the Clown neighbor. Here they go thinking, oh, we could trust him. We could trust him because, oh, he's a good person. He's a contractor. He's friendly. He entertains children at the parties. He's this, he's that. Not knowing that man ain't that. It's just ridiculous. My heart just want to go out to them because I would never wish that on anybody. And no doubt the parents thought that they weren't going to get injustice because of that man talking about he pleads insanity. I think that they felt like, oh well, we're not going to get injustice because he pled insanity. You know, some jurors they go with like well maybe he is insane. Well maybe we're not going to find him guilty or something like that. It's just ridiculous, and I feel like they went through the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I know they went through that because there's no way that they did not go through that. Because I know they had to go through the bargaining. Like, what if I drove him there, or what if I went with him, or if only he did this, or if only he did that. Like they went through multiple things of bargaining. And then that's why I look at some of these parents and some of these kids, and then some of these wannabe child psychologists on TikTok, and I listen to them. They be like, "You should never go through your child's phone or anything. You should not do this. You should not do that. Your your child is entitled to their privacy." But it's like, okay, so if something happens to my child, would you what would you do? Or if something happened to your child, what would you do? Like you're sitting up here saying, "Oh, don't invade your child's privacy," but if something happens to my child and I didn't know it, y'all are, we already know how the public is. They're always gonna be like, "Oh, well, you didn't check your child's phone, or you didn't check to see what's wrong with your child." That's why I always say, if I ever had kids, I'm going to make sure that they're safe. I'm going to make sure that I put parental controls on a lot of things. I'm going to make sure that I at least check their phone like once a week, or once every other week, because you don't know what is going on. You don't know what's going on these phones that we give to these kids. Now I don't have kids of my own, but we hear about it. We do, because look, there's a lawsuit going on with Roblox now. Too many people, too many predators are trying to get our children. Too many. And then you still have people trying to make excuses for predators. Yeah, some of y'all do make excuses because y'all be like, well, they were abused by their parents. That does not give them the right to harm children. That does not give them the right to sexually assault children, minors. It doesn't. And for you to sit there and be like, well, they were abused by their parents, uh, so what? So what? That does not give them the right to do that to children. And like I said, if you get a rise or you get flutters after looking at children, you need your ass whooped. You need that ass whooped. I mean, whooped to the fullest. I mean, dragged up and down the street. You need your butt whooped. There's no way you will sit up here and get. There's no way a child can entice you. There's no way a child can get you in heat. There's no way a child can make you erect. There's no way you're sick You're twisted. And to everyone who always says you're not supposed to invade your child's privacy, shut up. Shut up. Let these parents go through their child stuff. Because look here, there's too many people in this world that are trying to get children. There's too many. And parents, let me tell you, if you got predatory family members, cut them off. I don't care if you're the only one that do it. I don't care if the other family, they get mad at you. Oh well, cut them off. Because there's no way I will sit there and let a predator around my child. And there's no way I will sit there and try to blame my child for the predator's actions. There's no way I would sit there and do that. There's no way I would tell my child, oh, change out of that tank top and shorts and put on a sweater and some pants because Uncle John is coming. No, tell Uncle John and his nasty behind, no, don't come over here. Don't come up here no more. Do that. Step up. And as we close this chapter, we're left with the haunting truth. Monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they smile, they entertain, and sometimes they live next door. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of the darkest chapters in true crime history. If this episode moved you, share it, talk about it, remember the victims. Follow the Christian J Show on TikTok, Instagram, and X. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never stop asking the hard questions.